Buckle up, everyone, and welcome to Carpool Rugby League, a show where two rugby league tragics talk everything rugby league on your way to and from work. I'm Shano.
And I am the chameleon.
Welcome aboard and on with the show. Listeners, great to have you on board. Chameleon, fantastic as always to have you a part of the show. Thank you everyone for being here. We're on a Thursday, slight time constraint because you've got your Penny Panthers playing tonight. But before we begin, I really want to pay tribute to Billy Smith. Billy Smith, who has passed away. Peter Volandis paid tribute to Billy Smith, and what I thought was really nice gestures. He's played 234 games for the Dragons. He won 4 premierships, named in the St George Team of the Century in 2022, scoring 55 tries. He played 359 first-class games, scoring 55 tries and 256 points. Tough, skillful. Norm Proven said he was the best halfback he'd ever seen. I think that's pretty. I'd take that to the bank. He was just one of those figures that I know. Growing up, I used to love reading rugby league history books, and you know, my uncle would give me books when he was a kid, and I can tell you now, Billy Smith featured fairly prominently. So, of course, condolences to all everyone involved, but who knew him. But legendary figure that you know, it was a key part of that iconic '60s St George Dragons team, and just absolutely skillful player. And interestingly, I remember reading a little while ago now, quite a few years ago, revolutionizing what it was to be a halfback, someone who had to be able to ball play well, who passed left and right, who was tough, who had to defend in an era where, you know, and be able to kick. You know, we take all those things for halfbacks for granted. Back then, it wasn't part of the game, and revolutionised that. So, I thought from the top we pay tribute to who was a exceptional rugby league player, and is a rugby league NRL Hall of Famer too. And I think no higher. You can win grand finals. You can do a lot of things, but also was a Kangaroos captain. 26 tests and World Cup matches. Played for Australia 44 times. And when you captain your country, I don't think you can get much bigger than that.
I heard that until you mentioned it. And obviously condolences to his friends and family. Part of an amazing era of dominance from the Dragons. When I started watching Rugby League, he was still playing number 7 for the Dragons. I might have gone till about 1975 or so, Billy Smith. But yeah, he was part of that era where they won lots of grand finals. And obviously, I won't say much more. You've covered it well.
Thank you.
Great player, and it's this is what happens over time, and that's right. Legends of the game,
death and taxes. So, just quickly, I suppose recap from last week. Last Thursday, Panthers 6, Roosters 12, and what was an entertaining game. The Dolphins 22-0 over the Seagulls. South Sydney 22, Bulldogs 6 at Accor Stadium. Raiders 24, Sharks 20, 2 in a row for the Sharks. That's I wonder if the fans are starting to get nervous because it is finals time round the corner. Eels 32, Cowboys 20 in a bizarre game of rugby league. Warriors 40, Broncos 6 in... Yeah, all I can say is, yeah. Knights 36, defeated a spirited Titans 26. West Tigers, mate. 22 and the Dragons 24. And what was one of the worst sideline raid with the other side wide open, gaps akin to Swiss cheese, and he tries to do a smart flick pass to his winger, who will always get bundled in the touch every day of the week. Table looks a bit like this. Roosters are 38 points out in their own. Panthers 36, Warriors 36, Dolphins 34. That rounds out the top four. In the fifth, you've got the Sharks on 32, Knights 32. South Sydney are 30. Cowboys are 8 on 28. We'll say 30 because they've got the bye. Bulldogs 26, massive differential. Seagulls 24. Storm 24, which an A differential, which makes tonight's game for either of these teams very important. Raiders 24, Eels 22, West Tigers 20, Titans 18, Broncos 18, and the Dragons are 14, just 2 wins away from the Broncos, which is somewhat surprising. Griffo, we know you've got a game tonight, and we'll jump right into it. No, we won't, because that's not the way Rugby League, the Carpool Rugby League works. What's your grab?
Well, the thing that really grabbed my eye was, apologies, that would be a croaky throat tonight, but the Roosters' defence last week, which I saw firsthand, that really stood out. They were outstanding in defence. Henry threw a lot at them, but just couldn't break it until well into the second half. Really good game, won by a better team on the night, wearing red, white and blue. And I'm sort of catching up a little bit with some of the games from last week. That Eels v Cowboys game produced some of the most magical moments you got to see. Oh. Pass from Junior Barlow that went about 30 metres. Cowboys try that there were 2 kicks, multiple hands. But the guy the individual that stood out was for me was Fletcher Sharp from the Newcastle Knights.
Yes.
And a solo try that is up there with the best of them. All the sorts of skills on display of evasion, power, speed. And he backed it up not too much later with the second try. We didn't have to do as much, but that guy is on fire. So much entertainment in a variety of different ways. We're seeing amazing tries. We're seeing your team as well. We just talked about it before we started recording. A great defensive effort from the Rabbitohs as well. So it's all happening as we head for the semis. The only disappointing thing for me, really, is the fact that it seems as though the top 8's already settled. I would have really liked to see it going right down to the wire. I think last year, maybe 1 or 2 weeks out, we knew it was going to be in the 8. It was just a matter of the order. Well, we're 3 weeks out. We already know it's really, mathematically, some teams could get there, but it ain't going to happen. We've got the 8. It's just a matter of what order they're going to be in. Because a team like the Cowboys, for example, still got a bye up their sleeve. Might be this week, actually. But I can't see anyone from below forcing their way in now.
It's that whole needing. It goes to show the importance of last week to the Dogs.
Well, that was their season, really.
And probably for both teams. Like whoever, I think I was telling someone, I said whoever wins that game, that's the 8th. That's 7th or 8th spot right there. So it probably goes to show that's exactly where that was at. Well, without any further ado, let's talk about the games. And tonight at 7:50, we have the Melbourne Storm taking on the Penrith Panthers. It's at Amy Park in Melbourne. Ins Harry Grant, big one. Jack Howarth also in for the Storm. Casey McLean in for Penrith. And I just think, I'm sure Penrith fans are going to cross fingers, toes and everything in between that he is fit, healthy and well leading into the finals, because You know the raps I've got on this young man. He's brilliant. I really love his style of football, as well as Alamoti's out, Talangi is out, of course, and Luke Garner comes in on an extended bench anyway. So, no, because it's not.
He's there now. The teams have been finalised.
I keep forgetting where it's Thursday night. It's in and out.
Yeah.
Teams are finalised. He's in.
Yeah.
So
Garner's on the bench and Tolau's dropped back to the bench for the Storm. They're playing Wishart starting halfback.
Yep.
Which doesn't surprise me.
No, that doesn't surprise me either. Look, far be it from me to talk about the Panthers. That's your gig. Look, in talking about the Storm, they've been a riddle wrapped up in a rhyme this year. Really struggled to get any momentum, even when they've had their guns. You don't know the Storm team that's going to come out until they play the first 10 minutes of football. Unfortunately, our tipping doesn't allow us to do that. We have to pick before the game. I'm picking the Panthers. Griff, just tell us why. Tell us why your beloved team's going to win.
I'm going to tip them. I'm not. There's no certainty. The Melbourne Storm have got a good side here tonight. Monster's a little bit lucky to be there because he was got a couple of week for a hip drop. And on Paseka, and Manly sort of said, "Oh, look, Paseka's okay," and turned out he was actually injured. He missed last week. He's missing this week. But Munster got a green light, so lucky for him. They get Harry Grant back, who's he is one of the best players in the league, and he's in his corresponding game last year, late in the season. He won the game for the Storm. So while I'm tipping Penrith, I'm in no way confident because I do think Melbourne, like nearly every team that Penrith's played in the last couple of months, they seem to be bring out their best football. Not every team, but the Broncos played outstanding football. It's the only game the Broncos have won in months, and they deserve to win. The Roosters were outstanding last week. The Warriors ambushed them over there. In Indigenous round, and they're doing the hark and all sorts of things. And they were the better team. Penrith sort of hung around when it looked like they were going to get smashed. The Cowboys up in Townsville, where it was Taumalolo's 300th game, they played their best rugby league of the season, pretty much. And the Titans did the job as well. So, Penrith, I think they're 3 from their last 8. So, can't be confident. They have to win this game. Otherwise, they're going to lose a top 2 spot, probably. And it's not the sort of form you want heading into the finals.
No, and home.
They're missing a few guys, but so are Melbourne. Melbourne's still missing. They've had Katoa and Xavier Coates out all year. Kumakamika, I've just read, he's retired. He's been out for a long time, and they're missing one of their key players in Jerome Hughes. So they're probably more affected by injury than what Penrith are. There's no excuses. They just got to play a little bit better. They haven't been bad, but they've not been at their best. And I'm very hopeful that they don't go down for the 3rd week in a row, because it's really going to have some profound effects, quite possibly, on their season. You don't want to be finishing 3rd and then have to go over to Auckland again, if you can help it. But anyway, I'm going to tip Penrith. I want to see. Obviously, I want to see a win, but I want to see them return to near their best form at least. Even though they've not been bad, they've been a bit down, making a few mistakes here and there.
Yep. No, I think they're going to win. I think there's no. Yeah, they just. This is the time of year where Penrith know how to turn up and look. I'm looking for a big game for their big players. Tomorrow night, at GIO Stadium in Canberra, it sees the Canberra Raiders taking on the Brisbane Broncos. Who would have thought this is 12th versus 16th? Smithies and Chris is out, and a big out for the Broncos with the syndesmosis season-ending Reece Walsh. In what was, in my mind, if you ever want a textbook hip drop bit of footage, you've got it.
Nick Clock and Sean Stout.
Yeah.
He only copped 2 weeks for that. I can't believe it.
I'm with you, mate. Like, they're whinging about all this hip drop stuff and this, that, and the other. That was the textbook. I thought he'd get 3 or 4 weeks. But anyway,
He deserved more.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Anyway,
I thought he was. When I saw him do it, I genuinely thought, geez, for the finals, he could be in a little bit of trouble. Anyway, Corey Horsburgh, Simi Sasaki in as well, and in Kobe Black is the reserve. Look, the poor Broncos. Well, whether you think they're poor or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
It depends on your persuasion. They are a team that have struggled in every facet this year. Big issues coming out this week with the Marty Tapau interview and how that's going to be painted. The blowtorch is on their coach, who the Broncos are backing to the hilt. They just seem like a very upset unit at the moment, and not knowing what to do. They're versing a Canberra Raiders side who, to be fair, have had their own have had their own issues throughout the year. However, KO Weeks, Sasagi's in there now. Ethan Strange pulling the strings. You've got Papali, Owen Pay. They're going to want to finish the year strong. I think that they're a side that really have had some issues. The Corey Horsburgh brain explosion from the other week probably hasn't helped the dynamic of what's going on in that team. You've got 2 clubs that really are, they're shadows of what they were last year. I've got the Raiders winning this one at home, Griff.
Yeah, I think Raiders and Broncos are done. Heard this afternoon, Payne Haas, he's still playing, but he's out of the World Cup. He's going to have an operation to a finger and hand injury, but he's playing on for the Broncos. They're just, they've not been good. As I said, they were really good against Penrith, but, they fired up for that game. But I just think at that stage, there was still a chance of making.
They had something to play for. They got absolutely.
That's right, yeah. They're a bit of a rattle at the moment. And the Raiders were good last week. There's a lot of guns to fire in that team. And it is they're renaming the ground Papa's Place or something like that. Josh Papali'i, who is playing his last home game, big celebration. They're going to send him out a winner on home soil in Canberra.
Lovely. All right. So next game tomorrow night, 8 o'clock at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. We see the Redcliffe Dolphins taking on the Parramatta Eels. Both have some interesting ings. Just got to see if this one. Jake Averillo is on the interchange bench for the Eels. And bear with me here. Dylan Walker's definitely out. Araz Navana, he is on extended. So a lot of their changes are on extended.
Yeah,
Jack DeBellin, Jack DeBellin actually is starting lock. So Jack DeBellin's a starting lock. Doesn't matter. The Dolphins have far too much to play for. They've been humming along insanely well. I genuinely think the Dolphins are actually going to be a top 4 team this year. They're going to play finals football and get a second bite of the cherry, led by people like the Hammer, Asako, Farnworth, Bostock in there as well, Nicarima, Katoa, Marshall King. They just let their guns do what their guns do, and they fire so well. the Eels, to be fair, they've been spirited. They've done some good things recently. Mitchell Moses has been the driving force behind that. I don't think they're actually going to touch the Dolphins this week. The Dolphins, good win for me. Griffo?
Yeah, Dolphins to win. Parramatta will throw the ball around. They'll probably score some attractive tries. Problem is the Dolphins are going to score several more, and they are in a position where they're actually in the top four. Their destiny is in their own hands. I think they've got a game against the Roosters before the season's out, so they don't want to be losing this game.
No.
Because if they do, they might find themselves out of the top four come the start of the finals, and they don't want that. Obviously, they want to be there, and they've got too much class for Parramatta.
Yep, a team on their heels who would like to think that they could do something come November is the Newcastle Knights. Newcastle Knights will take on the Manly Warringah Seagulls. This is at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle. Bradman Best is in for the Knights. That's a big in. Jacob Saifiti also in a prop. However, they do lose Dane Gagai. So that means that you got Fletcher Hunt, Best in the centres for
good replacement.
Which I think, Best. 100% is.
I think that's actually.
I think it's actually an improvement. But anyway, I won't say that. That's not fair because he's doing some good things. Ben Trebojevic is in for the Seagulls. Tom Trebojevic, who a few weeks ago looked like he wasn't going to come back at all, is in for the Seagulls. So Seagulls have some decent ins, which bolster their team. However, they really have fallen off the cliff in some ways, and they're playing a team this week at home who have everything to play for. I think Kalen Ponga is going to lead from the front. Bradman Best is going to want to be at his scintillating best. Fletcher Sharp, Brent and Sandon Smith, Phoenix Crossland. It's just they have, and Justin Holbrook. I've got to take my hat off to this guy. He has created a team who not only have belief, but are playing some sensational rugby league and just safety first at every stop. I've got the Newcastle Knights winning this one, Griff. What do you think?
Yeah, one team's on the up, the other team's on, as you said, they're falling off the cliff. Fosball's turned into flop ball.
It has a bit, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, they're being poor. It's hard to understand how they can. They were so good. They were in the top four at one stage. I think they've not won for might be 5 or 6 weeks, might be even a bit more than that.
It's been a frag.
They've just the break has been put on their points. Apart from they got a bye somewhere in there, but they've got a long streak of losses. It ain't going to end up in Newcastle. I think Newcastle could put a bit of a score on them. Actually, they're in top form. The Knights, you got credit. You did credit Holbrook, but this team are playing still. They lost their big signing, $1 million man, more than $1 million actually, Brown, and also Dylan Lucas, who broke into Origin. They've not skipped a beat. The young man, Madu Leilua, is out this week with a concussion. He's been on fire, the second rower. But this is a team that really have impressed me. And I just think they're going to be putting a score on Burnley, who they're just dreadful.
Yeah. Well, at 5:30 at Accor Stadium on Saturday, it sees the South Sydney Rabbitohs taking on the New Zealand Warriors. I suppose I can tell you they've named him as named as an in, but he's definitely an out, and that's Latrell Mitchell not playing. Adam Elliott out for South. Big outs for the New Zealand Warriors. You've got Charles Nickel Clockstud and Luke Metcalf, who yeah, the way he looked when he walked off was not great. Tuapiki in at fullback for them. Hansen, Harris Tavita in halves, Wade Egan in a hooker. Everything else for both sides seems to be more on the extended row of things. However, I will say, and Liam LeBlanc is on the interchange bench. Be interesting to see if he actually gets a run on Saturday night. Look, I'm picking South Sydney, and you guys know why. But it's one of those games for the Rabbitohs. Last week they stuck. They stuck. They held tight. They got in. They got their defence in order, and they won the game. This week for South Sydney, that defence has to be the same. They're playing a very, very good Warriors team, a team that's definitely one or two cogs above the team they played last week. In saying that, they're playing a team at the moment who is a bit down on troops, who doesn't have their full strength side, who can, who's, if they ever want to have a crack at them, this might be the week. In saying that, they've got a forward pack: Fisher Harris, Wade Egan, Mitch Barnett, Luke Capewell, Aaron Clark. Can I say, on the other side, the guy for me who is the absolute linchpin of this side is Cameron Murray. Cameron Murray last week, I think, I know we don't have players of the round much anymore. They do a VB hard-earned index, I think, and he got the highest. I watched a lot of rugby league last week, and I'm not saying this because I'm a South Sydney fan. He was the best player of the round. Like, he was just phenomenal. What he did, the way he tackled, the way he ran. Jai Gray played a really important part too. It's going to be South Sydney's defence. If South Sydney want to win this, their defence has to be sound. They're up against a side in the Warriors who are playing finals football definitely, and they're playing top four finals football. They're not going to want to lose this because they want to stay in that 36 points. They want another shot at going further at a home final. They have to beat South Sydney. I've got South Sydney winning this one. You guys know why. I think Matt Duffy has played some great football this year. Tallis Duncan's been brilliant in centres. Alex Johnson, a lot was made about Milky Jenkins, and rightly so. Alex is two behind him. It's just like, the guy just keeps doing what he does. And they're not catching try. He's done a lot of work to score those tries this year. Jack Whiten has really tightened up the defence on that edge, and Campbell Graham, it really an unsung hero. The guy for me who has played some phenomenal football, who's pulled his head in over the last 5 weeks and just dug in, is Cody Walker. It's the Cody Walker I wish played. We're seeing the Cody Walker I wish played every week, where nothing got under his skin, playing with confidence. I just hope he has that game again this week, because it's not about winning for South. It's about making sure that for and against is still good enough in case something goes wrong. I've got him winning, and I'm actually, I'm shuddered to say I'm confident. I'm more confident than what I was. Look, if Latrell Mitchell was definitely playing, I'd be far more confident, but he's not. He's been ruled out. So South Sydney for me, majority are probably going to pick Warriors, but that's okay. Griffo, who have you got in this one?
Yeah, I'm with you, Shane. I've tipped South this week. I consider it a bit of an upset, but in terms of where they are on the ladder and the fact the Warriors have been so good. But as you mentioned, a few changes for the Warriors, and while they've had guys out all year, and someone comes in, you don't really know any different. I do think the loss of Metcalf, who just come back and was probably the man of the match against the Panthers a few weeks ago, and then he does a hamstring kick and an attempted goal. We've seen a couple of those injuries in the last few weeks. I do think South's they're looking pretty good. Their defense is the key. If they, and they repelled big men last week. Kikau, And they hold blokes up over the line. And they can score a try. So we know that the attack of South Sydney is always going to be dangerous. If they can keep that defence, they'll win this game. I was really impressed with what I saw in Duffy. Surprised to me that earlier in the season when he sort of took the place of Jai Gray, the advantage he probably has over Jai Gray is a better passing game, and he's actually setting up tries. So I can sort of understand it, even though Jai Gray was probably early season, probably the best player. They're looking strong. I'm backing them to win here.
Yeah. All right. On Saturday, 7:35, we see the St George Illawarra Dragons taking on the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. This is at Allianz Stadium. This is at Homebush. Kerr, Reid, and Leilua in for the Dragons. The Bulldogs, more or less. Sean O'Sullivan, where they put him? They put him on. Yep. So they pretty much remain unchanged. The Dragons, they've won 2. Can they win 3? I don't know. I don't think so against the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs last week were quite an interesting team. They threw a lot at South Sydney without much return, and I really think the biggest problem is there was a set of 6 where Lockie Galvin, South run to the pump, defended exceptionally well. Fafita, great tackle, but we're not talking about South. We're talking about Dogs. Lockie Galvin kicks it dead. And it was just like the pressure valve release. And I find that's the Dogs this year. Every time they build pressure, someone releases the valve. It's either a knock on, it's this crash play. And I think Stephen Crichton's in at 5'8" to alleviate a lot of that, to sort of bring a cool head to the game. I don't know if that's the case, then Lockie Galvin, what's his role in this side and what's he doing? Look, I've got the Dogs winning this, don't get me wrong, but I will say I think the Dragons will look at this game and go, we can put a lot of pressure on this side. We can play some really solid, honest football. But for the Dogs, it's people like Vilalami Kikau, Jacob Preston. It's your Matt Burtons, it's your Stephen Crichtons. They've just got to step up. And Lockie Galvin needs a plan. I'm not thinking this year because they've got no more football in September. Next year, if they don't start giving Lockie Galvin a plan, then what's the point of him being there? Dragons would think that they're half a chance, but I've got the Dogs winning this, Griff.
No, I'm going the other way. I'm going for the Dragons to make it 3 in a row.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, well, look, it's. I'm just going. I'm well down in tipping comps, but I'll go for the upset. The Dragons have been good recently. They beat a quality side in the Sharks last week. Was it the week before? No, last week they beat not a quality side. They beat the Tigers. But they were really good against the Sharks. They got out to a big lead against the Tigers. Tigers nearly run them down, but they're learning how to win. They didn't know how to win earlier in the season. I credit Coach Young with they even after he got the job, and they weren't winning games, but in most games they were competitive. The King has done some good things with the ball. Like in King Tonya, he's going okay. The forwards have been strong. Bulldogs, realistically, while they're mathematically a chance, I think last week we all know that in going down to the Rabbitohs, they basically signed out on the semi-finals, and I think that's going to be in. They're not going to be quite as on point now that realistically they're not going to make the finals. I think they're going to be a bit down mentally, and that might just be enough for the Dragons. And I could be completely wrong. But I'm going to stick with the Dragons. I want to see the Dragons win this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. It'd be nice. Because
they might even offload the spoon if they can keep winning.
It's going to be hilarious for them. It's you know what I love about the Dragons season is okay, they might get the spoon, but it hasn't been diabolical, and I think that's fair for them.
That's right. They have been pumped a few times.
They've been pumped. It's not diabolical anymore. It's actually, we had a shit start and we've just taken it.
They didn't know how to get the ball across the line early in the season. They were struggling to attack. They were competitive in defence. But anyway.
Well, 2:00 on Sunday. We've got the Gold Coast Titans versus the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks at Seabar Super Stadium on the Gold Coast. Josh Preston and Sam Verrills is out. Big out for the Sharks. Braden Trindle. So Fanul Blake is in for them. Toby Rudolph is in. You've got for the Titans Christensen, Somerton also in. Everything sort of seems there like it's, I think Preston and Verrills, big one. Braden Trindle, Puru is in at 5'8" with Nico Hines. So that's a new combination that's going to have to work and see how they go with that. In saying that, the nucleus of this side is the same for the Sharks. The Titans been brave at times this year. I really thought last week was one of those opportunities where the Titans have shown this year they just go to sleep for 20 minutes, and in that 20 minutes, the opposition scores 2 or 3 tries and it's beyond them. Same thing happened last week. I think it's going to happen this week. I've got the Sharks winning this one, Griffo, and storming into the finals. What have you got?
Yeah, I've gone for another upset here.
Yeah.
Not that I think that, I don't really think they're going to win, but I've tipped the Titans. Sharks have been down in the last few weeks, and I really thought they were playing excellent Rugby-League and then I thought they'd found some consistency, but then they've dropped away in the last 2 weeks. They were missing Fanua Blake last week. I think he had a suspension. But, the big out you talked about was a 5'8" Trindle. They've lost Ramian he's played his last game for the Sharks. He's off to the Cowboys next year. Gold Coast have shown that they can be competitive. They just don't show it enough. But they've got a decent side. And they've certainly got a side that can score points. The Sharks should win. And I probably should be tipping them, but I'll stick with the Titans.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice to see them win.
I reckon, yeah, why not?
If I was in contention in a tipping comp, I wouldn't be tipping them just quietly. But no, maybe they might get another upset.
I got a gut feeling here, Griff. You're not going to tip any kind of upset whatsoever.
Not another one. I've done my quota of upsets.
I was going to say because 4:05. At 4:05 on Sunday at Allianz Stadium sees the Roosters taking on the Tigs. You got James Tedesco back for the Tigs. Adam Dwayne is out. You've got Alex Swell in, Jock Madden also in. It sees Jerome Luai, Jock Madden, half 5'8" for the Tigers. For the Roosters, it's business as usual in the juggernaut that they've created. Up against the Tigers side, which really... It's becoming shambolic yet again. It's like you thought at the start of the year that they've sort of beaten some of this. They've got the monkey off their back. They can start playing some football. It's just become... It's become shambolic again. You've got a coach who just says, we'll wait till next week. You've got players who really... I'm not entirely sure some don't want to be there. It's just... It is a shambles, and I'm really feeling for their fans because whilst you can put shit on the club and stick it to them, mate, there's guys going there week in, week out watching this unfold, and really it's unfair for them. I got the Roosters.
It's nothing new, though.
It's not new, and that's the problem. No. It's not new, and you know what? I went for a club and I was there, where we started to see 4,000 people at a game. And I really think that's the West Tigers' future, unless they turn something around. But anyway, discussion for another day. I've got the Tigers getting pumped. The Roosters will win this and win this well.
Yeah, I can't argue. It's. I don't like to talk about the Tigers too much. We've just spoken about them every year. It's the same deal. This year they actually showed some hope, and then it just all went up in flames, really. Dewey's out. He's having an operation on, I think it's a shoulder, so he's going to miss the World Cup. It's unfortunate for Lebanon, because while they would have had a good side, they just don't have the depth to be able to compete with the other countries that'll be there. On this game, Roosters. Shano, I wanted to bring up a bit of talk about coaches. We've got not a lot of time, but a few things have happened over the last few weeks. Pretty much all of them reasonably surprising. The thing that really I found surprising was your old mate Seabold has landed himself an assistant coaching role at the Chiefs. What do you think of that?
I thought, geez, way to put the mockers on him before it begins. Some people, I thought they were silly. I just think you're building a new club that's going to be living in a compound. And I know it's not allowed to be called a compound, but that's just.
They don't call it a compound. Yeah, they call it a resort. I'm going to call it a compound.
And you got a guy who at every club he's been at has torched the earth before he's left. I just wouldn't have touched him. Like, this is a new club that's got unlimited salary cap.
Yeah.
It's got, like, I would have picked someone who's a young, up and coming assistant coach. A Matt King. I know he's now gone to the Blues. I get that. But you know, like someone who's young, up and coming, who knows going to add value. And look, this might sound like I'm rubbishing Seabold. In some ways, I am. I just think he's tainted goods now. I just think he's tainted goods now. Like I just think he's tainted goods now. Like, he was at South Sydney, could have won a premiership, chose to chase a job at Brisbane whilst coaching there, at the detriment of what they were building. Went to Brisbane, it was what it was. Went to the Seagulls, it was what it was, and now you're saying come to this new club. Like, you've got your salary cap exempt. You've got no issues with money. Like, I don't get what, like. Unless they see something I don't, I just think that there's
obviously that's the case. Apparently he's got, like, he's worked, Willie Peters worked under him somewhere. They've been Souths maybe. So he's got a relationship there.
I just think that I just think that there's people out there that are less tainted than him.
It would have been my choice, but
yeah, and you know what? Like we've always said, some rubbish NRL coaches make really good assistants. This could be one.
Maybe that might be it. Yeah.
That might be it. But you know what? You know, I have never really, you know, like, he's yet to prove me wrong.
Yeah.
So have a crack, Seabold.
Yeah. Well, the other thing you alluded to during your talk there about up and coming coaches, and that is my old mate from.
Yes.
From outside of Core Stadium or whatever it was back then, might be an ANZ. Matty King has taken over the Blues, which I was a little bit surprised, but held in from everything I've listened to, he's held in very high regard.
Yep.
And obviously, get behind Matt King next year. And on the flip side. One of his best mates has jumped out of the Origin coaching box for the Maroons, and
yes,
that was a little bit of a surprise. Billy Slater going, a lot of people put their hand up, say, no, I'm not going to do it. There's a few guys that have put their hand up. I think one of them is Darius Boyd.
Yeah.
Probably the most prominent. I think Matt Ballon, who's been the assistant, also might be throwing his hat in the ring. But yeah, just it's a bit of movement in some key coaching positions. And today I hear that the Australian coach Kevin Walters has
St.
signed
Helens.
a 3-year deal over in the north of England with St. Helens.
Yep, big money, big money.
Okay, yeah,
big money, and it's huge.
It's a surprise to me, but
I was when I found out, I'm like, wow, and they look. To be fair, brilliant people managers. So who knows? That might be what they need. The one thing British Rugby League does well, those top sides, is they resource strategically, and I think that maybe that's a part of it. I don't know. I
can't explain it.
Yeah,
like he's got a CV of coaching that would include taking a team through to an NRL Grand Final. That would include a number of series victories in states of origin when he had that amazing. They could have had no coach and still would have won, but it's on his resume that he's got success. He had success last year. The Kangaroos won the Ashes, and I hope he gets success this year. I hope the Kangaroos take out World Cup. But congratulations to him. He is a guy that obviously sees himself as a coach of a head coach of Rugby League, and that's what he aspires to. A 3-year deal, and good luck to him. But yeah, so a few things going on in the last few weeks of Rugby League.
Yep.
And and we're nearly at round, 25 we're up to?
That's it.
It's just about.
We are at round 25. So
anything else, Shano?
No. I think I'm pretty much done. You've got a game to go and watch. It will be kicking off in minutes.
A couple of minutes. Yeah.
So I think next week we're going to go through our haves and haves not. We'll see who's going to be in the 8, and
we're going to go the try no try again.
We're going to do the try no try next week, most definitely.
I was listening to that. It might have even been this morning when I went for a walk.
Yeah, no, we're definitely going to be doing try no try next week. Listeners,
all right.
Thanks for being a part of it. Griffo, you go watch your team play. Good luck tonight. Good luck to your teams this week, everyone. Unless you go for the Warriors, in which case I hope you lose horribly. Thank you, Griffo.
Thanks,
as always.
Look forward to talking again next week.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.